Hello, and a huge welcome back to the PDHPE and CAFS podcast. Now, if you are watching this live or watching this as a recording, a huge welcome to you. If you're listening in your ears to our podcast, we also do this live on YouTube, on a couple of our Facebook groups. So if you ever want to see the video, then you can head over to those platforms, especially YouTube. That's probably your easiest way, but also in our private Facebook groups as well. So a huge welcome back. Today, I am sharing with you a conversation which I think is very timely at this time of term. So at the time of recording, we are just post-trials here in New South Wales, and I know that you are busy with your marking. I probably should be doing some marking. I'm marking for a school, so co-marking with them. But I know that I have to get this podcast out by Wednesday. So I've also had a couple of conversations with you around rejoining our Health and Movement Science membership, but also joining our PDHPE, our KD6 and our 7 to 10 PE membership. And I've kind of come up with this idea with the help of John Cunningham. We had a chat this morning around this obsession from PE teachers to reinvent the wheel. Now, I'm going to share with you some things that I've experienced over the last 20 years. So I have been around education for such a long time. Since I was, 22 or so, I first started teaching in Blacktown at an all-girls Catholic school called Nagle College. And I had the pleasure of teaching at that same school for 14 years until Daniel and I, my husband, decided to make the move to the Central Coast, the sunny Central Coast. We kind of were in a position where we wanted to potentially get like a holiday house on the coast. And then we decided to kind of move into that holiday house. So it completely turned our lives upside down, probably more, maybe Daniel's as well, but I felt like more mine at the time. I left the security of a full-time job at Nagle. I loved the school. I loved working in my faculty. I had different leadership positions, mainly as a pastoral coordinator until our girls were born, but I loved our school. So I decided to leave because we're moving. And I had to give up that job. And then I found a job in the Central Coast at a senior school, senior campus. And things also then spun into a bit of out of control. Anyway, I think throughout my career, I've always been a bit of a perfectionist. I have become less of a perfectionist as I've gotten older. I think after kids, I don't know if you've got kids, you know what it's like. You kind of, things can't be perfect because life isn't perfect. And, you can't control what you can't control. But I think after kids, I became less of a perfectionist. I do have lots of perfectionate tendencies still. But look, I know as a young teacher, and don't know if you've experienced this yourself, that it can be quite competitive with the people that you're working with. For me, at the end of uni, I did a small block at Nagle. I think for 2 weeks, the lady who I was replacing was on mat leave, I think, or sick leave. And there just so happened to be a job coming up. So I went for that job and I got it. I was really excited to be starting my first full-time teaching role, my first full-time job, because I was fresh out of uni. And I know at the time there were we had quite a small faculty, which was good. But as our faculty started to build over the years and we started to introduce more subjects and it built, and obviously the kids liked us as teachers, they wanted to join our subjects, things started to become a little bit competitive in our faculty. So I personally would create resources, and then our colleagues would kind of look at those resources, and then for some reason, basically, worksheets back in the day, you know what I'm talking about, worksheets, getting the kids to fill things out, photocopying and then overheads. People would kind of copy my worksheets and then either put their name to it or just retype what I had already done. And I'm not really sure where this has started for teachers, especially PDHPE teachers, to absolutely reinvent the wheel. I don't know if it comes from us being so competitive in nature because we love sport, we love competition. It should be healthy competition. not ruthless competition, but I think it's probably stemmed from that. And I think probably prior to that, many of us as young people, as young kids ourselves, are probably like, I know for me, I was a bit of a goody two shoes at home, at school, or some of us might be a bit more rebellious. That's why teaching was drawn to us. But I don't know if it's because of that, but so many times as a really young teacher, I would see my colleagues just reinventing the wheel just for the sake of it. And I don't know why we continue to do that and why we want to reinvent the wheel. So obviously over the years, I've experienced lots of different teachers, lots of different personalities, and it's often quite tricky to navigate that when everyone is so different. That's the nature of teaching. But I think when I did start work at the senior campus, I noticed that a lot of teachers were the opposite. They didn't actually share any resources whatsoever. They would take their folders home and they wouldn't share those folders with their colleagues. So I kind of went from, having really hardworking, passionate teachers who would do anything for the kids to teachers who would probably do the bare minimum, or they would actually be so competitive that they would take their folders home and not collaborate and share with each other. So I think kind of my evolution as a teacher has, I've learned so much from other people, what to do, maybe not what to do, what not to do. But I think this theme around reinventing the wheel is still something that comes up a lot. I see people go onto websites and basically retype everything and then go to the kids, here you go, here's what I've got for you. I'm like, well, you could have just sent them to the website. Like, what's wrong with that? So I don't really know where it stemmed from, but I know that our time is so precious. Like every single minute we have at school is so precious. We are being pulled in so many different directions. We have HSC kids running around after us at lunchtime, revision sessions with the kids, some student to deal with because they might not have brought their sports uniform for PE. All the meetings we have, the carnivals, the rep sport that we might be involved in. We are pulled in so many different directions. No wonder, at the end of the day, we are so tired when we get home. And when we get to see our families, we're just done, we're spent. So, look, I know the realities of teaching that it hasn't changed much. And I am a statistic. If you haven't heard my story before, I taught for 16 years, 14 years in Sydney, 2 and a bit on the Central Coast, and I left the classroom in July 2020. It was never about the job as such. It was never really about the kids. The actual work I absolutely loved. I do miss the classroom a lot. I got to experience a classroom for the first time in 4 years this year. In May, actually, I did 3 days casual, just so happened to be at my daughter's school, again, all girls Catholic school on the Central Coast. And I loved it. But things were quiet for me because, schools had dried up, a lot of schools had dried up their funding was cut. So look, that's a whole other story. But the same message I see, teachers taking days off to either do their marking. I bet at some point in the last couple of weeks, you have taken a sneaky day off to do some of your trial marking. Don't worry, I won't tell your boss because I know that happens. Like we get so bombarded by everything that's happening. It's really hard to actually do the core work that we do, that why we're employed, why we actually teach. And teachers are still leaving the profession in droves. I'm a statistic. Like I cannot believe that I'm still not teaching in the classroom. Massive silver lining. I have no regrets. I absolutely love supporting you as a busy PDHPE, CAFS or HMS teacher. Like I love this. I feel so blessed to do this, but I know that teachers are still leaving the classroom in droves. So I wanted to share some statistics with you. When I wasn't a whole heap busy back in May, I started writing a book called Burnt Out But Not Broken, something like that, around teacher wellbeing. And I obviously started writing some things and found some statistics, but these are some that I want to share with you. So according to Black Dog Institute, this is in February 2023, so last year, half of Australian teachers, us, colleagues like you or me, so approximately 46.8%, are considering leaving the profession within the next 12 months. Half of teachers in Australia. Now, I don't know about you, but that absolutely blows me away. Teachers are working longer hours with fewer resources, and this pressure is building with an increase of burnout and time being taken off to do the job that we actually have to do. 1/4, so 25%, of reported teaching classes, teachers reported teaching classes outside of their area of training regularly. So we might be a maths teacher teaching HMS, or a maths teacher teaching PDHPE, or a science teacher, or a PE teacher teaching some of those courses. So that was Black Dog. And according to the National School Reform in January last year, 2023, full-time teachers work between 44 to 57 hours a week during term time. And that doesn't count, that doesn't take into consideration the work that we do in the school holidays, because I know it happens. I would have to do some of my marking, some of my programming, actually a lot of my programming in the school holidays. So those statistics are real, because we know it's happening in classrooms in Australia, in New South Wales. There are teacher shortages. A lot of our regional and rural schools are absolutely struggling to find PDHPE teachers. And I reckon like 6 years ago, 7 years ago, those jobs wouldn't come up. Teachers are leaving the profession. There are so many changes that are happening in our schools, so many things that we don't have control of, that are pushing good quality teachers out of the profession. And I think we're part of the problem. I'm going to be really honest. I really think we're part of the problem. And I will say, I'll put my hand up for that, because I'm one of those people who left. It got too much for me. It wasn't about the kids. It wasn't about the job. It was about the people I was working with. And I think there is still out there a bit of a toxic culture that happens in schools, that competitive drive. People's HSC results are beamed up on a screen at the beginning of or end of a year. People are torn to shreds because of their HSC results. And that happened at our school, that happened at our senior campus. And I still cannot believe that our principal made our faculties do that. That's a whole nother story. But I think part of the issue is that teachers still reinvent the wheel. Now, I don't know where that comes from, but I can kind of feel why it might still be like that, because we are still in that culture of proving ourselves like personally, but also proving ourselves to other people. We might be doing all these things to try to secure a full-time job. I know there are still lots of PE teachers who are on contract. I was actually on contract when I worked up here on the Central Coast. I wasn't permanent. I was still on contract. So it is still super competitive. And I think that's why some people still want to reinvent the wheel. But I hope my message to you over the last 4 years, and hopefully before that, prior to starting the Learning Network, my business, and obviously taking over PDHPE.net in June, that I never ever want you to feel like you're alone. I never want you to feel like you are on an island. I think I've called that before, where you are drowning and you're floundering and you're trying to keep your head above the water, like doing a bit of doggy paddle to keep yourself afloat. I have literally created everything in my business to date based on observing. I'm a very good listener. I'm a very good watcher, and seeing what people are really struggling with. Our done for you resources, our memberships. I know that professional learning isn't just one and done. I've been there and done that. I've been the ACHPA president for 2.5 years. I was on the board for 4 or 5 years. Workshops are great, but you guys want ongoing support. Our journey is long. We're always learning. I was saying to John on the phone this morning that, I've been around CAF for 20 years now, and I still learn so much from each other, from you guys, but also about our content. It's always evolving. So I think at the moment, we have lots of teachers who are up for renewal for their health and movement science membership. And we also are offering support for Year 12 health and movement science. We have that brand new syllabus ahead of us for the very first time ever next year. We also have K to 6 to, I was going to say deal with, but it's not to deal with, to teach. But we also have 7 to 10 as well. We have child studies knocking at our door, pass after that, and then finally CAFs in around 2028, 29. So things are going to be really busy for us as PE teachers in New South Wales. And I never, ever want you to feel like I did when I had no solution and no strategy then to actually leave. That took a bit of guts. That took a bit of guts to make that decision. And I knew at the time it was the right decision. I probably rushed into that decision after spending 3.5 weeks sick on the lounge and not knowing what I was going to do. But look, like I said, blessing in disguise, absolute silver lining. But if you're currently sitting at your desk or you're watching this or you're listening and thinking, how the hell do I keep moving forward? How do I keep creating this stuff for the kids? I don't want you to feel like you are alone, because you're not. You're not the only teacher in your school. You're not the only teacher in your faculty. You might be if you're like, somewhere at the back of Dubbo or in Broken Hill somewhere. There's a few of you I know. Some of you are in our membership, but I never want you to feel like you are alone. What you need to do right now is advocate for yourself. The budgets, the finances that schools receive are there to support the biggest asset in your school. And the biggest asset in your school is you. You are the biggest asset, nothing else. Not a bronze statue, not a painting that the school got created, not some artwork. You are the biggest asset at your school. And if you advocate for yourself and say, I want to be more productive, I want to work more efficiently at school, I want to be happier at home, and I want to have access to resources that are literally have been done for me. I do have the skills, I do have the ability to do that, but imagine all of those hours that I would be spending on that rather than, working with one-on-one with some of my HSC kids, or, being happy, being present at home. I know it's hard to ask for money, and I'm asking you for money to join us in our offers, in our memberships, but I always see it as an exchange of resources. I'm saving you a whole heap of time, your afternoons, your weekends, your holidays, in exchange for 2 casual days worth. And that's what it is. Joining our HMS membership is 2 casual days worth. So $1,100 to have access to not just year 11 content and the resources and the scope and sequences and the assessment tasks and the stuff for collaborative investigation and depth studies, plus the support, the ongoing support. You also get access to all of that for Year 12. So if you're a current member in our Health and Movement Science membership, you're currently up for renewal. We have a number of documents that we've sent to you to ask, not beg and plead, to ask to have a professional discussion with your principal or your executive member, your leadership team, about you rejoining the membership. They let you join in the first place. They should be giving you access to this again. If you haven't signed up, or if you're not currently a member, we would absolutely love to have you in our thriving community. Literally schools all across New South Wales. We're not discriminating. Private schools, public schools, Catholic schools up at Ballina and Coffs Harbour, Catholic schools here on the coast, and the Blue Mountains, and out west, and regional New South Wales. It doesn't matter where you teach in New South Wales. Would absolutely love to have you in our community, because I know how precious your time is. Last year, I really realised that I could have all the expertise in the world, and my CAFS marking and my SOM, supervisor of marking, all of that HSC experience doesn't mean much when you don't have the support. If you time, like I think time for me is our most precious resource. The results and stuff, that's second, that kind of comes second. All the resources, all the time that you're going to save when you join us is my way to give back to you. And if you would love to ask some questions about how the membership works, please let us know. The Health and Movement Science membership is open for renewal or registration for teachers in New South Wales. So it will be my absolute pleasure to support you. To join us, you can head over to learnet.com/HMS or flick us an email, send me a message on social media. And if you have any questions at all about the membership, how it works, let us know. The most valuable resource is you and your time and your energy and your well-being. So you get to feel valued in your school. You get to work with your kids, in small groups. You get to create that magic in your classroom that I actually miss. I miss that magic. I can create stuff for you guys in a Google Drive, but I don't get to teach it. And that's the part that I miss. I'm getting a bit emotional thinking about that. Don't worry. Don't know why. Because I'm thinking of what it feels like to be in those classrooms. And I do miss that a lot. Anyway, so let us know if you have any questions. We do have some emails and templates and stuff that you can share with your teachers, your schools, your principal. If you want to see a sneak peek, we've been sharing those on social media. And look, it's what I can do to give back, to help you, to support you. But if you have any questions, let us know. Otherwise, principals, if they're sitting on the fence and not really sure, they can have a look on LinkedIn. I did a live yesterday and I showed principals through what you guys get as a member. But again, look, there's lots of prompts and stuff, or flick us an email and let us know if you have any questions at all. In terms of the website, there's been lots of questions about PDHPE.net. That is something that we're currently building in the background. All of the content has been written and, images and stuff have been chosen to then put on the website. So that's all exciting. As you can see, we've got some new shirts. So I'm ready physically. We've got a new sign that I'll pop up and share with you. So things are really exciting. We're going to finish off our Google slide, our format, and then we're going to start recording all the video. I'm going to say all videos for the website. It won't all be done at once. I am but one person. I'm not a magician, but we'll be working on that. But anyway, look, if you need any help with anything at all, let us know. We are here to help you. We do have quite a few people coming onto the team to help out, which is really exciting. But otherwise, thank you so much for everything that you do in your classrooms. I hope your marketing is doing well. And if you need anything from me, let us know. Have a great day. See you next week.